Hello, everyone, and welcome to LOTI's virtual celebration of our Digital Apprenticeship scheme. I'm Onyeka Onyekwelu, the Strategic Engagement Manager for the London Office of Technology and Innovation, aka LOTI, and I'll be your host this afternoon. When we started this project, we had a totally different idea of how we'd be marking this occasion, along the lines of a big venue in the centre of London, buzzing with lots of activity. But so much in the world has changed and we've had to adapt. In just over a year, we've been able to set and exceed our goal of recruiting 100 digital apprentices into our member boroughs. And as a result of this scheme, we've been able to train and develop, wait for it, 7 software developers, 6 infrastructure technicians, 6 IT solutions technicians, 6 digital project managers and 15 project managers, 5 data and business analysts, 3 IT user apprentices, 2 cybersecurity technologists, 2 ICT help desk apprentices, application support specialists, and before I run out of breath, a graphic design and drone pilot apprentice, and as well as so many more cool and innovative new apprenticeship opportunities. It's been a real pleasure being involved in this project. And to kick this event off in style, we have none other than the Mayor of London, Mayor Sadiq Khan, here with us. He's joined us to welcome you all, to say a few words to everyone that's been involved in making this project a huge success. Over to you.
As we mark London Tech Week, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate all those formally becoming a local government digital apprentice. This is a hugely exciting time for you on a personal and professional level, and there's never been a more challenging and rewarding time to work in local government. In the weeks and months to come, I'm sure many of you will have the chance to contribute to this vital work as you gain more knowledge and develop your valuable tech skills. This programme wouldn't have been possible without the hard work and commitment of our boroughs and partners. So, as well as saying a big congratulations again to all of the apprentices, I also want to express my gratitude to you. You should all be incredibly proud of the difference you're making in helping to cultivate the next generation of tech leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd echo Sadiq's thanks to not only our lead borough, Hackney, who were instrumental in the design and delivery of this project, but also all our borough CIOs who've worked with us to really drive this agenda forward. They've remained committed to building London's digital talent pool and have created over 100 digital apprenticeship roles in LOTI member boroughs. And they did this all before our project deadline of September 2020. I mean, that is super impressive. This wasn't easy. We recognized very early on that every borough operated a little bit different and would need some help getting this off the ground. So our project really began by creating a playbook on how to design and recruit for a successful digital apprenticeship scheme. We worked very closely with Kate Mclaren and Rob Miller from Hackney, building on their experience and successful work in this area. Let's hear now from Kate Mclaren, the head of delivery for Hackney. She's passionate about increasing diversity and opportunity in the digital and technology sector, with this scheme playing a key part in their ability to achieve that. Her career covers a range of central government departments before moving to Hackney in 2018. So over to you, Kate.
I'm Kate Mclaren. I'm the Head of Delivery at Hackney Council, and I've been asked to talk a little bit about the playbook that we wrote with LOTI for extending digital apprenticeships across London. So firstly, a little bit about Hackney. We've got a really ambitious apprenticeship programme. We're currently at the end of our first cohort of 20 apprentices, and we're about to recruit 24 more. It's a really key part of our workforce strategy. We know that in a competitive world where we're looking for talent, we need to be able to grow our own, and so apprenticeships are a really big part of that. And we also know that the digital sector isn't particularly diverse, and we're really committed to increasing the diversity of our workforce. And again, apprenticeships are a really good way for us to start to do that. So when LOTI was first put together, we were one of the founding members. We were really proud to be part of LOTI. And one of the work streams was around how can we extend the number of digital apprenticeships across London. And one of the things that we thought would be helpful from talking to other boroughs was that it's really hard to get started. It's really hard to know how to actually design your workforce so that you can make room for a large number of apprentices. And then how do you actually recruit them? How do you design your structure? How do you know what it is that you need to look for? Apprenticeships are quite complicated. It involves recruiting young people, it involves recruiting people. It involves finding providers. You've got to think about what your line managers need. You've got to make space for them. You've got to, and to be successful at it, I think you have to be really committed to the idea of having lots and lots of new people who need training. So what we did is we wrote down everything that we had learnt by doing our first cohort, and then we shared that with other member boroughs and asked them to critique it and tell us whether that actually met their needs. And then we got a couple of boroughs to test it out, test the playbook out, made it public, and then got them to feedback what was missing, what was good about it, what they found useful, and what else they might need. It's not finished as a tool, because what we couldn't write as Hackney was how to help your apprentices move on to their next thing, because at the time when we were writing it, we hadn't gone through that. So that's the next challenge, is to write something in the playbook that helps other boroughs think about how do you end an apprenticeship with your organisation in a way that meets the needs of the young apprentices, that meets the needs of the organisation, and then make space for a new cohort of apprentices. So if you haven't had a look already, have a look at the playbook. Anything that you need to know about how you might go about developing an apprenticeship programme for your borough, we're always here to help and to have a chat, and can be contacted. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kate. And as she said, please do have a look at our playbook, which you can now access via the Digital Apprenticeships projects page on the LOTI website. And to better understand the impact that this scheme has had on our member boroughs, we've invited Team Hackney to speak with us. We'll be hearing about what running a digital apprenticeship scheme is really like from the perspective of a CIO, a Chief Information Officer, the manager, and the digital apprentice themselves. So first up, we have Rob Miller, the Director of IT at Hackney Council and the mastermind behind this project. Rob joined Hackney in 2016 and leads the borough's technology and data teams, recently joining these with the council's customer services delivery. Rob has a background in retail and local government and is passionate about public services, technology and data, and how these come together to make things better for citizens. Alongside him is Susan Mcfarland Lyons, who is one of our many brilliant and committed managers on the scheme. Susan has been at Hackney Council, for over 2 years now, and has spent most of her career in project management in digital agencies in the private sector. This has been her first experience of apprenticeships, and she has herself described it as being a rewarding experience supporting her apprentice through from recruitment all the way up to graduation. And lastly, we have Emma O'Reilly here with us. And if you haven't already, I'd recommend you read her blog and what life is really like as a digital apprentice. It's currently featured on the blog section of the LOTI website. She's a recent graduate and Hackney's newest Associate Digital Delivery Manager, having spent the last 2 years working as a digital apprentice at Hackney Council on a variety of digital projects. Everyone, please join me in welcoming all three of them to the panel. So, Rob, from the figures on our dashboard, it's clear that Hackney is quite passionate about the Digital Apprenticeship Scheme. You've shared in the past about the potential it has to further digital leadership in local authorities. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about how you developed this scheme internally and the impact it's had since?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really important part of what we're doing at Hackney. So it begins really with the real strong commitment that our administration have for apprenticeships in Hackney. So we're part of a much bigger and award-winning programme across Hackney, where we've got apprenticeships in all manner of different fields. So when we were looking at how we developed our digital service, it kind of became obvious really early on that if we made a really strong commitment for apprenticeships, that would be a really kind of a key part of helping us make a great digital team, but also thinking over the long run as well. So what we were looking for really is how we could build on the real success of education and further education in Hackney. It's a borough which is now achieving some of the greatest, some of the best results in the country. And obviously there's no limit on age as well. So there's a kind of a huge talent pool in the borough which we could draw on. So we created over 20 apprenticeships in our new service design 3 years ago. And it sounds like a big number, but when you actually look at it across the teams, it fitted really well. And there were a number of posts that we were finding really hard to hire to. So, the employment market for digital skills is increasingly challenging, and we were finding it very difficult to bring people in at a range of posts. And actually it became obvious to us that what we needed to do was, part of the response to that was to kind of grow talent within the team. So we made that really strong commitment. We had a fantastic response to our initial hiring 2 summers ago, and we're really excited at the quality of people that we were coming forward to us and we're bringing into our teams. What's been really exciting looking at it is it hasn't just brought some great new people into our teams, bringing lots of brilliant ideas and energy. I think it's also helped us as managers learn new skills as well. So there's been a really positive, much broader positive effect than I expected. Now, when we started, we wanted to be thinking about this as a investment in careers, not just placement where people get a qualification. So we were really excited about the opportunity to work together with LOTI because it creates a much bigger network of opportunities beyond the apprenticeship, both within the LOTI boroughs themselves and also with the other partners that LOTI's been working with. So it's been really exciting seeing how it's gone from an original idea of we find it hard to hire into posts to something where we've had great new people coming into the team, but also it's brought us closer to our partner boroughs. And we've had some really exciting events which LOTI has run in terms of bringing apprentices together to network with one another, to learn new skills. And I've been particularly impressed to see how a global pandemic hasn't stood in the way of that, and how there's still been apprenticeship events and networking throughout the pandemic. So it would have been really easy to, I think, to have taken that attention off of that. But with the first cohort coming through to graduating, it's really exciting to see Emma and her colleagues kind of completing their qualifications. It's really important that that momentum was maintained.
That is impressive and really, really humbling, I guess, to hear about what you've been able to do internally, the sort of graduation of your digital apprentices and being able to retain some of them in local government. That's super impressive. And I guess the next piece of question, the next question I have is, what advice would you give to your peers who are a little bit unclear about whether or not this is a wise investment when they're considering developing their digital data or innovation teams?
So I think the best thing to do would be to look at the playbook which Kate and the LOTI team led on pulling together, because I think there's some really valuable information there and experience. I think the key thing for me would be to be bold. I think there are myriad reasons which people will be worried about doing such a big shift and such a change from what they're used to. All manner of things like, do we have the capacity to bring in people who might be unfamiliar with the professional field we're working in, maybe people at the start of their careers. All of those obstacles have been overcome. Hackney's also, one of the things we really benefited from is the investment Hackney's made in our apprenticeship team. So one of the offers, I guess, to other LOTI boroughs and through the playbook is, as well as our experience within the digital field, our apprenticeship team have got really fantastic skills and experience in helping us as managers work through that process. So we hadn't recruited in that way and at that scale before, for example. So their hand-holding and support through the process was instrumental. But there will always be excuses not to do it. I think our experience has been really, really positive. We've just been through the recruitment process for our second cohort, and we're incredibly excited to have another really promising group of people coming in and joining the team in the autumn. Be bold, I think, would be my answer.
Good advice. Be bold, people. And Susan, as a manager of a digital apprentice, we want to know what it's been like on the ground, I guess, and does it differ from managing other members of your teams?
Yeah, I definitely would say it does, because it's a bit more like a mentor role, really, than a manager role, I would say. It feels like a lot more responsibility, to be honest, because you're kind of molding someone's career early on. Whereas if you're a normal line manager, they could be anywhere on that career path. I think as well, you do have to do more check-ins and things like that. At Hackney, we normally do every 6 weeks, but with an apprentice, you do every week to make sure everything's going on track. It's maybe an entirely new environment for them. They might not have worked in an office before. So, you want to make sure that you're able to mentor and steer in the right direction, while also appreciating the fact that some apprentices are, in their 30s, 40s, 50s. They're not necessarily 18-year-old school leavers. So it is slightly different, I would say, but it's also a lot more fun, I think. You're not just sort of checking off annual leave requests. You have a bit more of a kind of a role in terms of moulding something together, I think. I think as well, you do also have to understand that there are other commitments that they have, not just schoolwork. So obviously there might be some college days that they have to formally go in and do some actual work, whether it's for studying for exams or preparing for a portfolio. There's a different. They're not there 24/7, but they're not there 5 days a week necessarily. So you have to be appreciative of that fact and make sure you don't overload as well, I think.
Yeah, and that's one of the, speaking earlier, you said, you have people that move from different sectors or different roles. That's one of the common misconceptions, that it's just young people or school leavers. What has been your experience of managing people of different levels during their apprenticeship career, those who have changed from a different sector as in comparison to others who are fairly early in their career?
Yeah, I think it very much depends on the apprenticeship as well, because I think, if somebody's just left school, they're in a very different headspace to somebody who's 10 years down the line and, has their own flat and a family. And you have to approach that in a different way, I think, as well. And you have to understand that when somebody is very young, it is, you have to get them out of that school mindset in a way. There's no one kind of checking that you've done your homework. It's up to you. Whereas obviously if somebody's a bit older, they're used to that. And I think that the moving between the sectors and the age is a really positive thing about apprenticeships, I think, because it gives so many people have portfolio careers now. I mean, you start off doing one job and then you might have done 3 or 4 jobs by the time you actually retire. And that's a normal thing these days. And I think apprenticeships allow for that to happen.
Yeah. And I guess, what lessons have you learned along the way, and what would you like to share with boroughs who are not yet on the journey or are still considering hiring digital apprentices?
Yeah, I can't imagine why you wouldn't do it, to be honest. Especially something like digital. Digital should be an apprenticeship profession. Yes, you can go to university and you can learn all of these things, but actually learning on the job with something as practical as digital is actually really crucial experience. You can't learn in a classroom what you learn on a job, on multiple projects with different clients, whether that's internal clients or private external clients. You can't learn that at university. And I think and like Rob said, the skills that they bring back to you are quite interesting, different and enlightening as well, because they're in a formal learning environment. They're learning formal skills, formal structures, half of which I've probably forgotten. So it's quite interesting to be reminded about these things later on. You think, oh yeah, I should have probably done that. So sometimes they can fill in the gaps that you've forgotten yourself. But it is hard work doing an apprenticeship. And I think you get the ones that see it through. You get really good staff at the end. They've really put in the hours. They're working much harder than everybody else is. They've got college work. They're learning new things. They're juggling lots of things at once. So at the end of it, they come out with really great skills, and they've delivered, for those 2 years that you've had them. I mean, Emma got 95% in her exam. I wouldn't say no to that.
That is impressive. Congrats, Emma. Congratulations first on becoming a graduate. That's amazing, an amazing achievement. And you shared in your recent blog what life is really like as a digital apprentice. But I'm curious, as Susan's already said, how you've been able to balance studying and working.
Well, I guess, first of all, the apprenticeship works in an 80-20 way. So as Susan already mentioned, it's 4 day a week working and then 1 day a week dedicated to college. That differs for different apprenticeships, but for mine, it was 4 days on, 1 day off. For me, this involved 1 day of college every 2 weeks, and then the other 2 days of the month, I would do personal study. So this will be me completing assignments and so on. So you do get that sort of 1 day a week to complete the college work, and then you'd spend 4 days a week working and developing the skills needed to complete that college work. So I guess, and sometimes that 20% is not enough. There is a lot of work to complete, as Susan said, and sometimes that 1 day a week is not enough. So it really helps to have supportive manager, which I did have. And sometimes that might mean, I might need a couple of extra hours to complete something and make that up a different time. So it's really about having someone who understands the apprenticeship and the journey and is really supportive of that. That was key to me completing my work. That 1 day a week probably wouldn't have been enough.
And have you been able to apply what you've learned right to what you do on a day-to-day in your job?
Yeah, definitely. I think, again, this sort of Susan's point about, not just going to university and studying something and then applying it after, it's sort of doing it at the same time. So I'd go to college and I'd learn things and I'd bring that back to work and sort of understand how that can sort of be, put into practice in the workplace. That wouldn't have been the case if I had spent 2 years studying and then applying it after, like easy to forget things. So yeah, it's been easy to apply, and sort of, I think for my course especially, it sort of differs from what we do at Hackney slightly. So it's been able to provide me a view of how different styles of working are and how to apply that, and sometimes where that is better off and sometimes where it's not. But it's been a good learning experience.
And what has been your biggest struggle in your role, if you can share that? I guess confidence. So it's nothing to do with the learning side of it, just my confidence in, speaking, doing things that my role entails. That's been my biggest struggle. I've had huge support with that and I've been working on it for 2 years. So hopefully I'm much better at some of those things now, but that was a big struggle for me, just being in the workplace for the first time and doing things that I just wasn't used to doing and not very comfortable doing. Well, it sounds like you've had immense support from Rob, Susan, and everyone else in the team, which is so good to hear. And congrats again on being able to secure the role as Associate Delivery Manager. And I guess on the tip of all our tongues and anyone else who's dialed in here today, I'm sure you're all equally dying to know a little bit more about the recruitment process. How do you go from becoming a digital apprentice to a full-time member of staff at the Hackett team?
So Hackney are really keen on keeping apprentices on. So we have, I think it's, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob or Susan, I think it's 75% of apprentices stay on either in a new role or doing a higher apprenticeship. So we have that support in place already. My particular role didn't actually exist in Hackney prior to me starting. So for me, this personally meant sort of having conversations with Kate, our head of delivery, who you've already heard from, and sort of talking about what I would want to do next. And for me, this was staying at Hackney and doing the next role up, which is the associate role, and sort of having conversations about whether that would be a possibility. And Kate done all the work around that. She, had discussions with whoever she needed to and managed to fund that role. And that was put out internally. It wasn't just for me. Anyone could apply. I was lucky enough to get the role. But Hackney are really, I think, keen on developing their apprentices and keeping them there, of rearing homegrown talent. I know it's like one of the mayor's I don't know if it's a commitment per se, but I know he's keen on that, having mentioned it before. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you to Susan and Rob as well. I think you've all heard how amazing the scheme is in-house, but also on a wider scale. LOTI is equally committed to furthering and developing our future digital leaders. And as Emma said in her blog, local government is a top contender in a world of exciting opportunities. So we hope that other boroughs are able to adopt this approach and really develop our digital apprenticeships program going forward. So thank you all for coming on the panel and speaking with us today.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you.
Now, some of you may or may not know, but we've been able to convene and support networks of LOTI boroughs, digital apprentices and their managers. This was particularly useful when the pandemic hit because it allowed us to touch base with both groups to check how best we could support them and progress the project in light of these difficult circumstances. And to support their efforts, as well as show our commitment to training and developing our future digital leaders, we engaged with the likes of Microsoft and Amazon to organise virtual training and challenge days for them. First up, we'll hear from Rebecca Mckenzie, Microsoft's account technology strategist, who we've been working very closely with to develop a program of learning sessions focusing on developing our digital apprentices' technical and soft skills every month. These sessions are an opportunity to support this cohort of future digital leaders to develop their professional careers and interpersonal skills. Over to you, Rebecca.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Blunt and I lead our local government business in London for Amazon Web Services, working in collaboration with the London boroughs. Firstly, I'd like to say congratulations to you all. It's great to be a part of the celebration for the first 100 LOTI Digital Apprentices, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to meet and work with you all. Now more than ever, digital plays a really important role. 82% of all job vacancies require digital skills. In recent years, the number of digital jobs grew almost 3 times as quickly as other occupations. AWS are at the forefront of innovation and work closely with customers across the world on cloud adoption. Our role in supporting digital skills has never been more important. We are hosting a virtual day on Monday the 21st of September for all of the LOTI Digital Apprentices. We've developed a great agenda for the day, bringing to life the opportunities that digital could help realise in the London boroughs. At Amazon, we strive to be Earth's most customer-centric company. We'll be exploring our approach to innovation. Working backwards is a fundamental part of our innovation process. We start with the customer and what they want and let that define and guide our efforts. We'll be applying this methodology to 3 big challenges affecting the London boroughs today. The challenges will look at how the London boroughs can better share data with the voluntary sector, support vulnerable residents, and promote inclusion for those who are digitally excluded. Throughout the day, you will be working in multidisciplinary teams with colleagues and peers from other London boroughs. You will have the opportunity to hear from a panel of speakers about their career journey from starting an apprenticeship to where they are today, and hear how local governments from around the world are innovating using AWS to transform the way they deliver services to their citizens. The day will be a great opportunity to further your learning, build your network, develop your presentation skills, and collaborate with others. We're really looking forward to meeting our digital leaders of the future, and we look forward to seeing you on the 21st of September. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Mckenzie, an account technology strategist here at Microsoft, and I work alongside all the London boroughs. This year, in partnership with LOTI, we launched a really exciting webinar series, which happens on the 1st of every month. And this is to support the Mayor's commitment to apprentices. So if I dive a little bit deeper into what this webinar series is, we have 2 sessions, one focused on technical skills and one focused on soft skills. So if I take the technical skills, this is really about empowering your apprentices and equipping them with the skills they need to drive innovation and change in your boroughs. So, for example, one of the sessions we had was around low-code, no-code, and how you can maybe innovate some of the processes which might be quite manual and time-consuming. On the other side, we also focus on soft skills, which means, for example, given the current climate, it's how to present confidently virtually, or how to build resilience to unexpected change. And we get really interesting speakers like psychologists to come in and give tips and tricks. The best part about all of this is you can actually then follow some of the learning paths afterwards and get a badge or qualification at the end of it. And I think this really helps your apprentices not only build up their confidence and their skill set within the borough, but also help them with their CV. So far, we've had great success with our apprentice webinar series, reaching just over 100 apprentices in 6 months. But we're only just getting started. We want to reach every apprentice in every London borough, which I know is a bold but really exciting challenge. We also hope to build a community amongst these apprentices so that people can start sharing ideas, innovations, challenges and problems amongst boroughs, because collaboration is one of the best ways to succeed. I think it's a really exciting webinar series and we're just getting started.
Thank you so much to both of you. First of all, we heard from Katie Blunt, an enterprise manager for Amazon Web Services, and also Rebecca Mckenzie, who is Microsoft's account technology strategist. Thank you both. It's been a real journey developing these sessions for our digital apprentices, and we've worked with their managers to identify skills gaps, as well as areas that could do with a bit more support. And we've also tried to make each session as topical and relevant as possible so that they can apply their learnings to their respective roles. And as much as our virtual learning sessions have been a huge success, one of the main benefits identified by our digital apprentices themselves of being a member of LOTI is the ability to make use of this network. You've heard it from our panel earlier and other speakers, so we really, really wanted to capitalise on that. They want to be able to connect with their peers in other boroughs, further their learning, develop their professional networks and interpersonal skills. LOTI is all about collaboration. So we reached out to Amazon, as you heard, to see what we could do to bring this cohort together and work on common challenges they're all facing during this time. We've met with CIOs, service leads, managers, but we think that there's a missing piece to the puzzle here. So as you heard, we are working on a challenge day, which will be on the 21st of September. If you haven't currently signed up, please do. We would welcome all digital apprentices to take part in that day. Our real goal here is to hear what ideas our future digital leaders have that might inspire our thinking as we support London boroughs during COVID recovery. So you've heard what we've done from convening virtual networks, collaborating with the private sector, and developing opportunities and convening regular meetups for our digital apprentices, as well as their managers. Now I want to hand you over to the Director of LOTI, Eddie Copeland, to say a few final words to wrap up this event and formally conclude this LOTI project. Over to you, Eddie.
Thank you very much indeed, Onyeka, and it's my happy task to be able to finish this session with a few thanks and just one final reflection at the end. And my first thanks need to go to Rob and to Kate from Hackney. It is absolutely down to them. Their initial idea that this should be a LOTI programme, their passion for it has really helped inspire their peers right across LOTI boroughs in London to do the same. And it's thanks to that we've got these 104 digital apprentices, which is a huge tribute to them and their advocacy. So thank you to both of them. Thank you too to Rebecca and Katie from Microsoft and Amazon. These private sector partnerships, we're seeing throughout Tech Week what the private sector can do as well as the public sector, getting the two together, showing our digital apprentices what they can do, both in local government and beyond, has been hugely helpful. And we look forward to taking those partnerships further ahead. I'd like to thank Onyeka as well from my team, who's not only hosted a wonderful session this afternoon, but has been instrumental in looking after our digital apprentices, fulfilling boroughs' wishes to get them together, get them these skills days, form those partnerships. And so really thankful to her for everything she has done for this programme. Likewise, particular thanks should go to Mayor Philip Glanville of Hackney and also to Theo Blackwell, London's Chief Digital Officer, both with big public profiles, and their advocacy, them championing this programme, I think has given it real credibility, lots of momentum, and we're very grateful for their support. And of course, talking of championing it, my thanks go to Mayor Sadiq Khan. I think his endorsement, his participation in this event today really, I think, underpins the importance of this work. Because of course, thanks and congratulations must go to all our digital apprentices and to their managers, because this is all about you. In fact, the reason LOTI is so passionate about this programme is that we know from everything that we hear working with all of our member boroughs that the future of local government depends on you. We need passionate people with great skills to come up, share their expertise. You are absolutely pivotal to what local government is and needs to become. And in my career, I've been fortunate to work in lots of different sectors, a bit of politics, a bit of big tech, a bit of private sector, charity, education. And honestly, hand on heart, I think the most passionate, inspirational people I've come across are those that I get to work with now in local government. So for all of you as digital apprenticeships graduating shortly, you will be very employable, no matter what you want to turn your hand to. But I sincerely hope that, like Emma, a great number of you will choose to stay in local government. The sector needs you. It's a chance to do really important, meaningful work for your communities. And speaking with a LOTI hat on, we would certainly love to have the chance to work with you for many years ahead. Thank you to all of you. Congratulations to all of you. And for those of you dialing in, thank you for joining us. And I hope you enjoy the rest of London Tech Week.
Time to say goodbye. I would like to thank those who've taken the time to virtually be with us today, to all of our speakers and sponsors for their generous contributions. To conclude the day, we're now playing a short excerpt from Connected Business. It's a programme looking at all things tech, produced in partnership with ITN Productions. Tech for Everyone demonstrates how vital technology has been during these recent months, enabling key workers to deliver valuable services to our communities.
London Tech Week is leading the conversation around the most pressing issues facing the tech sector and society today. Donna Bernard has been finding out about their recent initiative, Tech for Everyone, and investigates the benefits of technology in empowering communities.
If you could show me the rash that you're experiencing on your arm. So it was an insect bite that you said that you had.
Technology is at the heart of today's society. This year has seen just how much it can empower communities and transform daily lives. During the COVID-19 pandemic, it has played a vital role in keeping our society functioning amid lockdown and quarantines.
Nicola, how important has technology been at this crucial time?
Well, I think technology has been critically important right now, both for people and also for businesses as well. And if I take each of them in turn, from a people perspective, it's been the thing that's enabled us to stay connected to our friends and family during these very difficult times. But on the business side as well, it's allowed businesses large and small to be able to operate and stay open during the pandemic as well. And we've seen so many businesses pivoting, going out and finding new ways and resourceful ways to actually connect with their customers at this time.
The health sector faced the biggest challenges. It had to respond quickly to the demands of COVID-19 and find ways of continuing clinical care safely.
There have been lots of really quick developments. So the work plans before the lockdown occurred of rolling out newer forms of technology such as better telephony, video consulting, remote working, which have all been relatively fast-tracked now that we're in lockdown and also coming out of lockdown, and how we're going to be looking at consulting during the future. And in a way, we have progressed technologically quite a lot in the NHS.
Without technology, thousands of children would have had no education at all during lockdown.
Many children will have struggled throughout the pandemic. However, technology certainly provided a means of contact with teachers. From this, at least, they had the opportunity to continue their learning.
Most children and young people are familiar with tech in daily life. With the pandemic keeping families apart, older people have had no choice but to embrace it, especially when cut off in care homes.
We were really surprised by how the residents have taken to the use of the technology. We have now ensured we have even more tablets for use in the home, and residents and family have peace of mind in seeing their family.
Can you imagine how it would have been not to have been able to do video calling or to actually to see one another? And we've also seen that technology has enabled people to reach out and feel more part of a community around them.
Tablets enable staff in care homes who may have been locked down with residents to stay connected and keep up to date with government guidelines.
It made us feel we wasn't on our own, and all the care homes in our area could work together to give each other support.
Many sectors are hoping the new normal becomes the status quo.
Telephone and video consulting with remote working is probably here to stay, and I think that's something that we'd really be keen to keep, and certainly the response we've had back from patients has been really positive.
Those responsible for monitoring technology believe using it positively has to remain the focus, encouraging people to connect and support each other through difficult times.
It starts with people, and if you have people at the centre, then I think then you are going to get the best out of it. And so the way I think about it is that actually technology is at its best when it actually brings people closer together, and that's how I certainly use it.
I hope you enjoyed that. The full Connected Business programme is available in the on-demand section of the London Tech Week event platform, which looks at the future of work and how technology has responded to the challenges of the pandemic. Thank you all, and see you next year.